Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a review of The Breach by Ludus Magnus Studio. So this is a 2 to 4 player set collection type game. If you look on the back, it looks like an area control. There are some elements of it, but it really is not. So in this game, you take on the role of a hacker, and you're trying to hack into a computer grid system, and you take on the role of an avatar. Again, all these avatars have different abilities, as do these hackers, and they also have specialized in different things as well, as you'll see in the how to play video. And essentially what you're trying to do is be the first to complete your objective. Meanwhile, the computer grid is sending out things called ice models to attack you as well as your opponents. As the game progresses, there's going to be this thing called a Guardian that comes out and pretty much is unstoppable and tries to close all these gates. And then if that happens, nobody wins. If that sounds interesting, well, that's because it is. So let me show you how this game plays, and I'm going to let you know what I think about it. So let's get to the table, and let's show you how to play The Breach. Okay, so this is how a 3-player game of The Breach is set up. So we just got done playing here. As you can see, that this is the board. Now the board would be flipped over at the start of the game, but as it goes on, you know, as you enter different rooms, it gets flipped over. Now if you see right here, these are guardians, and then you have other ice figures that will be trying to attack you in the game. Normally, these gate figures will be here as well. This is where you would enter the game from. So the way the game ends is if one person completes their objective, which is to collect these symbols right here, or the Guardian would destroy the 4 gates, in which case everyone would lose. So you would have your board right here. You would start with your leader or hero, or hacker, whatever you want to call it. They all have this little special ability here. I'll go over it. And then you would also choose a avatar. Now the avatar would look like that or whatever. I have this guy right here. His name is Hugo. And then you have your little wheels here, whatever they call it. And then your starting cubes as well. So the way this game, what you're trying to do is trying to hack into these areas here and collect them and put them on your board here. So let me go over briefly what's going on. Again, there's a lot, but this is not a complicated game. So you're essentially going into these rooms, and you have all these different actions, of course, that you can do. So you can obviously move. Now, the way you move, you would use like the move action. The yellow counts as the move. The blue would count as the screen, and red is for attack, and this is just a cachet, so nothing would happen there. So if I have the same color on my move here, this will count as 2. If there was another cube here, it would count as 1. So right now I have a power of 2 here. If this was here, it would be 4. So obviously at the start of the game, I would have my avatar right over here on my board. So I would deploy him to an area, any gate, and of course I would flip over the tile. Now, as you see here, you can do an action on certain areas. So this is, you would spend the movement, and you would be able to take an information tile right here, and they will give you certain little abilities or extra things. So this is a +1 shield, or sometimes you can be used in attacking. Another thing you can do is attack. You can attack another player, or you would attack one of these ice figures. Now, attack, so right now I would have 4 attack right here, and then it would go up against that. So if I'm going to attack another player, it would go against their shield. So right now I actually have 8 defense right now, but if the other players, whatever they have in their shield section, that is their shield. So what I would have to, either if it's less than or equal to, they would still get 1 virus. If it's greater than their shield, they would get 2. If it is greater than and 2 times their shield, they would get hit with 3 viruses. If you get hit with 3 viruses, your avatar is disconnected and it is forced to be placed right here. And on your turn, you are only able to do 1 action. Now, everyone starts the game with 2 actions and 1 configure. So again, as you get more of these pieces, you would get more actions or clicks. So also you can upgrade. You would take one of these cubes off and get the free ability that is here. And then where you would place these, you would place them on your cheat areas here. But now when you use these cheats, you have to discard them. So that's why there are 6 up here. Again, your player one, once that one is done, you will flip it over to the avatar one, again, and so forth. But you would have to put another cube right here because these are pretty powerful. So that's one of the cheat things. You can shift, which is kind of like a teleport into a different room. And then there's breach. Breach is adding these cards into the areas because sometimes you cannot, like certain areas like this cannot go into here, but this area can go into here with one movement. But you can place these cards here to breach the wall. So another thing I didn't bring up is the screen. So screens pretty much allow you to it's like a defensive thing. You would place them here, and you could take up. It would take away 1 virus if you would get attacked. So if someone attacks you and only can hit you with 1 virus, you would not get attacked. Also, some of these ice would come in and we wouldn't be affected by them. So that is essentially what you do. But how do you collect these? Well, one of the actions that you can take is called the infect. So you would roll this die. Usually you're gonna infect it, but it does other things too. So you would have to move up on this guardian track. So as you're going up, it's going to do different things like bring out some of these ice monsters or move up on the guardian. If the guardian comes out, it is not a good sign. I'll go over that in a bit. But yeah, so you would place one of your tokens here, but so what you're trying to do is surround this. So you would have to have a token here and here. And for the small ones, like for this one here, you have to have a token here and here. After you're done with your action, you would do the configure phase. So you can either do, as of right now, I would only have 1 configure, so I can push 2 cubes wherever I want. Because every time you do the action of something, you have to push that cube down. So I could either push 2 cubes anyways. I could do this, or I could do this and this, whatever I want. Or I can draw a card from my mouse. Now we all start with cards based on our hero and avatar. Here, so again, these are also pretty powerful themselves. Again, you don't draw them at the top of your round. There are certain things that you can do, like you remove this here to draw 2 cards. I don't think you're going to be using all the cards in the game. So let's go to these little ice things here. Now, when you're done with all that, it's going to be the firewall action. So for every player that is connected, you're going to have to draw a card and activate. So this is the Guardian. He came out. Usually when he comes out, the game is not going to last much longer. He's just going to go there, try to close the gates and attack everybody. But there are other things as well, like you have these Echo ones. So she pretty much is going to stop you from infecting unless you fight and defeat her. But if you defeat her, you do get these credits, these little money tokens here, which can be used to buy these little abilities. So like you can buy 1/2 of a hard drive, or you can draw, it allows you to draw cards. Once these are all gone, you can spend 4 credits to take the top of a hard drive. Now, if you get 2 of these, it counts as 1 big hard drive. So that's another, so even though those are gone from the game, you can still spend money to get those hard drives for the color that you need. So yeah, again, that is essentially a game. Again, the way these guys are also, they attack you, it depends on how high it goes up. Again, as these tracks go up, their attack value goes up. It starts as 1, but this lets you know what's the highest that they can attack and what's their shield. So how many viruses they need on them in order to be defeated, and then it lets you know how much what you would get for defeating them. And then again, little special abilities. If you have none left, then this thing would happen. They're usually pretty bad. So again, that's not everything. It's I've pretty much covered everything here in the game. But that is essentially how you play the Breach. And let's get back and let you know what I think about it. Okay, that is how you play The Breach. Let me start off by saying that this game is a breath of fresh air. There is no game out there that is like this. And I mean that, and like I said, I've played a lot of games. I love area control. It's one of my favorite. But this is not, like I said, an area control game. This is more like a set collection, race to the finish style of game. But it has combat, which I like, in that player interaction. But it's unique in the way everything works and comes together. So, going into what I like, first and foremost, art and components. Amazing, top notch. The miniatures, everything, the way the components are utilized. The game is awesome. It fits in with the theme as well. Again, it's got that cyberpunk hacker computer theme. If again, I'm too familiar with it, but I felt like I was hacking into a computer system, and it has this own world inside of a computer grid. It gives you that feel, especially with the tiles and stuff. Again, it's not like land tiles and stuff. If you've ever played the game System Shock, that's what it kind of reminds me a little bit of. So, yeah, everything fits perfectly thematically. Looks great, awesome on the table. Again, Black Rose Wars, the last game that Ludus Magnus sent me, they also top notch. They also sent me this game, so first and foremost, I want to thank them for sending me a copy of this. I've had a lot of fun with it. So, art components, top notch. Time. The game doesn't take that long to play. You can play this in about 90 minutes. Now, the reason why it can go fast might piss some people off. Again, that when that Guardian comes out, you gotta hurry up and complete your objectives, because there's a good chance that he's gonna close all those gates and everyone's gonna lose. I don't think some people might not like that. It fit thematically with me. Again, I was a little annoyed by it, and then again, which I will go into later. But yeah, the game does play pretty quick. Yeah, there's a lot of actions. Again, I'll go into that later. But overall, this game is not going to take 2 hours to play unless you have some really AP players. So game length is excellent. So let's go on to the gameplay itself. Loved it, fantastic. Very tense. The exploration. How am I going to utilize these rooms? And again, I like that you can configure the rooms the way you want. And there's actually a special character that actually during his turn you can change the way the configurations are on the room, and screwing other players over. But there's a lot of back and forth. Yes, the player interaction, like I said, but there could be some games where you won't interact with players. It's like it feels like a race. But you want to interact with a lot of players. You want to mess them over. There is incentivizing to attacking your opponents besides those ice models, because you want to stop them from getting all their hard drives that they need for their objectives. So, and that's another thing also. You don't know what they're going after. But you can kind of get a sense. They also can be messing with you, going over after a different color just to fill up their hard drive so they can get more clicks and stuff. So clicks are like the action points, how many actions you can take. Again, as you fill it up, it does give you more actions. But it also brings you closer to deploying a Guardian. So you got that's where again that race and that tensity comes in. Everything works in this game. Everything felt balanced. All the characters, they all have their own specialty. I played with one that has specialized more in defense. You got one that specializes more in attack, and so forth. Another one that's more well balanced. That adds to the replayability of the game, and of course, the way that the rooms and everything they spread out randomly each game, that adds to the replayability as well. So this game is highly replayable. And I know the Kickstarter had a lot more content out there. There's like a cooperative version. I prefer to play with the competitive. But yeah, again, love the attacking, the way that you utilize that wheel. Do I want to spend all these points now and push my cube out of that so I could be weaker in attack or weaker in defense on my next turn? It's really, again, really, I love the way that was utilized. And again, you can upgrade yourself to have more attack power, defense power, or movement power. However you want to play this game. What is your strategy into winning and beating your opponents to completing your objective first? So yeah, again, overall, loved everything about it. Here is what I dislike. Okay, first and foremost, the rulebook. The rulebook is not bad, but it makes the game more complicated than it needs to be. It's not a complicated game at all. And Black Rose Wars also suffered from that rulebook. That's also not a complicated game, but the rulebook made it a little bit more complicated than it needed to be. And again, the Breach has a better rulebook than Black Rose Wars, but again, I feel like there was too much condensed, too many. Like there's like 40-something pages in here. And I wish it would kind of be condensed into a smaller rulebook and explain the rules a little clearer. But again, not too bad. You're gonna probably have to play one or two games to get a sense of everything. After that, I think it'll click pretty easily. Okay. And another thing I didn't like is the downtime. Players' turns can go a little too long. There's one thing that really irks me in games is the downtime, especially when you play with AP players that are sitting there like this, staring off into space 5 minutes, calculating every single freaking possible math equation, crap, whatever. It irks the crap out of me. And you're going to get that with this game because, again, there are a lot of things to do. And, the fact that it adds more actions, they got these different phases, it adds to that downtime. Again, not super bad, but again, it's my pet peeve. And finally, my biggest dislike is the fact that everyone can lose the game. The caveat is it fits in so thematically, which is why it doesn't bother me way too much. But it does suck once that Guardian comes out and really starts screwing everybody over, attacking everybody, and of course, if the way it's shuffled in the deck, you could get more of those coming out, and then it could really end the game. Depending on the way where it's like shuffled in. Like what happened with us in one game, it came in towards like the end of where the deck was about to run out, the enemy deck, and all the Guardian cards were right there, and they just kept coming out, and they weren't shuffled in with the rest of the cards because again, the other cards weren't, some of them weren't all utilized. So we mixed it in with like one or two cards that were left before we could reshuffle it, and it just devoured us, and nobody won the game. But overall, this is a great game. I'm giving this an 8.5 out of 10. It can go higher, maybe with more plays. I want to see more stuff from this universe. I want to see more content come from here. Again, I know the Kickstarter had a bunch of stuff, but this is just the base game. You still have a lot of stuff here in this base game. I like to see what they do with it in the future. I think there's a winner here. Again, I'm a little surprised I'm not seeing more of this at conventions or more people mention this game. This is a really fun game. I think everyone should check this game out. Again, it's not complicated. But the rulebook can make it sound a little more complicated than it needs to be. But this is a pretty easy game to table. It's not going to take long. The setup could be a pain, but you could get this game played in about 90 minutes, and it's a ton of fun, tense action, and just like really shocked me and how different and unique it was. So that's the Breach, 8.5 out of 10. Thanks again to Ludus Magnus for sending me this copy for review. Sorry if I'm a little off. I became a dad again. I got my little boy Luca was born last week, so I'm shot. But I got this game played a bunch of times, got it reviewed. I'm here for you guys. So please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I answer everybody. But yeah, that is the Breach. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you all have a great one.